Welcome to the Ozark Hobby Adventurist. I'm Ken, and today we're going to look at a few parts here that I've ordered to do some repairs on Scrappy. Scrappy took quite a tumble the other day, about a 50-foot drop-off, and we had broken an axle, bent a front spindle, needed to put some differentials in it, so we're going to flip this thing over and we're going to tear into it and do some repairs. But first, we're going to look at some of the things that we have to do the repairs with. I've ordered a couple sets of these. These are your differentials, and they come with the bearings. These are probably the weakest thing on the whole vehicle. So if you order one, order two. And we're going to go over how to temporarily make these things work for a while if you're on a budget. And that's what these parts are for. Little set screws. And you know they're in two different lengths. Well, one of the set screw areas that you need to work with is underneath the bearing. We got a few extra little washers. Here's our other differential with bearings. Here's what we broke. The axle housing. And here we have a screw kit. It's called a hardware set. We're going to break into this here real quick and we're going to see what's in it because there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Alright, looks like we have body clips and some screws and some nuts, and we have attaching hardware for your links. We have ball ends, some set screws, some E-clips. Nice. Those small parts are always nice to have. We got some pins, looks like for the drive shaft, some small screws, got some spacers, your bushings for the front C-hubs, which is exactly one of the things I was needing, but I couldn't find them separately. And then we got tons of other little screws and things. Dun -dun. And evidently I forgot to shut off my cell phone. And here's more screws and stuff. Now this is like a $30 set of screws right here. And I would suggest actually spending the money to get them. Because when you do maintenance, you're going to tear up a screw here or there, and it sucks to be out and not have any replacement parts. Wow, there's a lot of wheel nuts. Maybe those aren't wheel nuts. We'll find out. Alrighty. Now, let me get everything a little bit resituated here. And you're going to probably hear some rustling in the background. And that will be Jim. Alright, so we are going to start stripping Scrappy down here real quick. And you wonder why we call him Scrappy. Because he's made of a barrage of parts. That's a joke. It's a Barrage EXC. Nice little rig. Not meant to be run hard. We do a lot of stuff with it that we shouldn't be doing. And I'm actually surprised I haven't broken anything more serious before now. Get my wire tucked away up underneath there. Okay. So we're going to take the battery out, because this is actually going to be a couple different videos. Alrighty. Now, these are my little water resistant electronics box. Nothing fancy. Cost me $1 and a little bit of time and some sealant. Got my on-off switch. It's on the back. Put a little crack in it. Put some sealant on it. And the most important thing is the little bitty drain hole that's down in here. You can't see it, but there's a little bitty drain hole right there. So if any water does get in, it'll drain out. Alright, we're going to flip this puppy over. Look like we got a little tag along there. Acorn shell. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we are going to take the wheels off. And I always like holding a little tension against the axle. That way you're not trying to crank everything, break stuff. I'm pretty happy with my Barrage. Pretty simple. Easy to work on. Only requires basic hand tools. And all I'm doing is I'm sticking my fingernail up underneath there and pulling that off. Ta-da, ta-da. Alright, next we're going to get out our favorite screwdriver set. And we take these screws out. And we flip it over. And we take the same screws out on the other side. Jim has seen me do this so many times that he's almost certified in doing this stuff. And once again, screws only need to be so tight. And after that, you start damaging threads, and then you end up having to go buy parts or re-engineer stuff until you can afford to buy parts. Come on, you're almost there. Okie dokie. Now we roll this thing back over. I'm going to take all the screws out but 2, and I'm going to loosen those up. Okay, here comes the fun part. Now, when I first got this, I had a problem with the bearing not wanting to slide over this, and so I had to do a little bit of file work right here on the axle. And it's still kind of hard to get the bearing off. Don't push on the outside of the bearing. Push on the inside of the bearing. Otherwise, you're pushing the bearing apart. Alrighty. There we go. And see, you got one bearing stays in there. And then that bearing fits down in there and helps hold your axle shaft in straight. Once again, see, that one slid off pretty easy. Alrighty then. Now we're going to get into the rear gear of things. Move this back over here just a little bit so I can work around the camera. Not used to working around the camera. Alrighty. There is your axle. And this has been modified. And I didn't get my hole straight in it. That's why I have to replace it. So I've got another one that I've already got set up to go back in here. And it has been modified. Make this a little easier for you to see. Right there is an Allen screw. And there's one almost 180 degrees on the other side. That's where I messed up. Is I didn't get my hole. As you can see this, well, maybe you can't, you might be able to see, yeah, you can see the hole is oblong. What you want to do is you want to drill one hole straight through both sides, directly in the middle in the thickest part. And I'll show you how to do that later. But for now, we're going to get this axle put in here. And so that is pretty much how easy it is to replace your rear differential, locker, whatever you want to call it. And people always ask, well, what's the first upgrade I need to do? I make them angry. I tell them the truth. First thing you do when you get you an RC is learn how to drive it, learn what it will do, learn what it won't do, and then learn it again. And you will prevent broken parts by understanding how to drive. Which means you get to do a lot of stupid things in the process of learning. And that's when parts get broken. So as you can see, it's not real complicated. And so far, these are the only two tools I really needed to do this repair job. Alrighty. Slide that bearing over. And you don't want your bearings to be too loose, but you don't want your bearings to be too tight as well. Push from the inside. That one will need a little bit of file work, but it's not bad. Alrighty. Slide this cover back on. Sometimes they want to be a little difficult. Make sure that's in all the way. There we go. And then we slide that in. Then we turn this one around. Same thing on it. Already got our bearing in there. Got our bearing right there. Just slide that sucker on like that. Put a little squeeze into it. Now we got 4 screws to put into this. And you'll want to check your wheels and axles and make sure you don't have a lot of play in the ends of them. Because if your bearings will go out, that means that your axle's wobbling around in your rear hub. And that'll cause your rear hub to waller out, and then you got problems again. But as you can see, it's not really that much of an issue to get into it. Alright, now we flip this thing over. And we put a screw in here, if I don't drop it first. Now that I've got everything changed so you can get a better camera angle, my angles are off. Okay, One more screw. Like I always say, don't over tighten your screws. Okay, so now we grab a pin, and that goes right there in the hole. See if I can get a better shot there. Now, it may be easier for some of you beginner people and old folks alike to make sure that your pin is at this angle, and that way it doesn't slide out the hole on you. And it holds itself. And you snap that in there. Once you get your pin in there right. There you go. Alright, do the other side. Don't drop too many parts. Put your... There you go. Guess what? We just rebuilt the rear axle. Now, if you had to put bearings on your locker, or, you know, that might take like another minute. But you've pretty much seen what it takes to do a rear axle on a Barrage 1.9, 2.2, or 1.9, or the 2.0 version. Doomsday. The FTX Outback. There you go. Alrighty. Well, there's part one of the Doomsday maintenance program. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with part two in a little bit. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.